everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Raiders Thrive with your, non-academic support team at STA. I'm Miss R. We've got Crystal and Mr. A. And as we do every week, we do a quick little check-in. So how have you guys been doing? How have you guys been coping?
I'm doing well. I'm glad you're doing well. Hey, I think this is the first time that we're actually all three of us in a video together, because 1 week it was you, 1 week it was me, then 1 week it was you.
Yeah.
I'm doing well. I'm very busy at home, which I love, because from April till June of last year when we were doing this, I was in an elementary school, but I had only been at the school for a few months. So it was very hit and miss with the work that I had to do. Where now I, have a bunch of students that I'm working with. I'm very engaged. I'm actively involved with the school, and there's just never there's always something going on. So I'm very busy and I love it. So.
How about you, Mr. A? How have you been coping?
I've been coping well. Last week I was a little bit under the weather, but I think it's just been good. I feel good this week, and I'm so happy that another week is over and we're one step closer to, starting February and hopefully getting the year going and getting the nice weather coming back again.
Oh, I'm craving the nice weather. I've been actually employing a strategy that we always talk about, but of course, getting motivated to exercise was always the issue. But I'm happy to say for the past 3 weeks, every Monday to Friday, I wake up at my usual time. Well, I hit the snooze button a few times, but I'm usually up by 5:30. I put on my workout clothes and I've been exercising. And I've got to say, for anyone watching this who wants to do that, but the motivation is hard, try to fight that, that sluggish, that getting started, because it's making a world of difference. I just find I'm sleeping better. The blood is flowing. I'm a little more alert. I can stay focused. It's making a world of difference, because in the spring, I don't think when I look back, I don't think I did very well. There was this constant anxiety underneath the surface, but now with exercising every morning, it's a lot better. So I've been doing okay. I've been doing actually a lot better than in the spring.
But I think in the spring, you got to remember too that everybody was experiencing a lockdown for the first time. Everybody was experiencing this unknown fear and anxiety about these what ifs of what was going on. And as you were seeing numbers change and grow, those anxieties and fears grew, because we started to see a lot of bad things happen, right? People were getting sick, people were in the hospital, people were passing away. And so I think all of that stuff contribute to our stress, but it was new to us, and we were learning how to do virtual counseling and virtual work and virtual this and virtual that. And once we started to do that for a little while, we started to realize, hey, wait a minute, we could work from home. This could actually work for a lot of people. So I think it was just kind of getting through that.
It was like a shock to our collective system.
For sure.
But I've learned from that, and I've got to say the exercise is just making the world of difference.
Awesome.
So we'd like to start by mentioning next week, January 28th, is Bell Let's Talk Day.
Yes.
Crystal?
So basically, we really want to emphasize the importance of what Bell Let's Talk Day is and what it does. And we want people to, recognize and understand that, we're trying to break the stigma of, mental health. But what we really, really, really want to emphasize, and especially today in our discussion, is just engaging with students in open discussions about mental illness, or just about coping or managing or getting through your day or dealing with those stresses, because we all have struggles, and those struggles and those people are growing, and we're trying to manage the best way that we can. So it doesn't, Bell Let's Talk Day, yes, it's mental health, but it doesn't necessarily need to be a mental illness. It's just mental health, and we need to just kind of figure out how we're going to get through that, and utilizing your supports. I cannot even stress that enough.
And, just to reemphasize, and I think we talked about this in previous weeks, we are emotional beings. We are human beings, and we have emotions, and it takes energy to deal with life, to deal with other people, to just cope with the pressures and the demands and all that. And so mental health, let's start again by removing the stigma and saying, well, we all have physical health. But when we talk about physical health, there's no stigma attached to it, right? We know we should eat better. We need sleep. We need to exercise. And some of us do, some of us don't, but we still have that physical health, whether it's in good condition, mediocre condition, or bad condition. Mental health is the same thing. We could be doing things or not doing things, and it could be in good shape, bad shape, or mediocre shape. This is about recognizing that we need to really improve the quality of our mental health. And it could be checking in with friends, sending a text throughout the day. If you know that you have a friend that tends to struggle a bit, just send a nice little text. Hey, how you doing? Because I like the tagline for the Bell Let's Talk Day this year. Every action matters, especially now. So just checking in with people, calling your grandparents. Hey, I was thinking about you. Things are testy at home. Just checking in with your family members, your siblings, your younger siblings. We can get so task oriented. Okay, I got to do homework. I got to help my little brother, my little sister with homework. Oh, mom and dad want me to do the chores. But let's not forget that we're still human behind all these demands. So maybe just, hey, mom, I always talk to you about the chores, but how are you doing? Or let's have a date night. Let's watch a girls, I mean, if you're a daughter, or, let's have a family night, or let's have a family game night. Sometimes it takes, even though we may not want to be the one to initiate that move, because maybe, we're fed up with mom or dad or siblings, but maybe see the bigger picture, that get out of that immediate frustration with family and see, okay, we really need a family night to really feel connected. And so sometimes it takes us to make the first move to say, you know what, I think we need to do this. And they may not be on board at first, but you keep trying. So that's the whole thing about Bell Let's Talk, is just let's pay attention that we're human beings. We're not robots. And let's not take people for granted. All right, that's my little thing on that whole thing. This week's topic, Mr. A is going to get us started on this week's topic.
So, I'm so glad to kind of be able to talk today. And I think just even speaking about Bell Let's Talk and just the importance of, talking about mental health, a big part of what mental well-being means is the ability to handle the daily ups and downs of life and be able to cope. So when we talk about your mental well-being, right, we're talking about how are you handling the daily stressors, the ups and downs that we are each dealing with. You talk about we're going through a global pandemic right now. How are you handling what is going on in your life right now? That is what mental well-being is speaking about. So with that being said, one of the big things is for us to each also understand that support looks different for each and every one of us. How we each cope is based on how we sometimes even want to cope, and what helps us cope within our coping, right? So that's one of the things that we wanted to talk about today, is for each and every one of us to identify and have a unique plan. A unique plan meaning that two people can be in the same room and each be affected differently about what's going on. Which means that we also all need to know that we need to each also have an individualized plan for us, right? Because we are all affected differently, meaning that we also have to create something that allows us to cope differently. And this is where we want to talk about today, really understanding yourself. And I guess I could start off, when I talk about my mental health and well-being, one of the big things that helps me is my spirituality, my spiritual faith. These are all things that give me hope. For me, culture is a big part of my mental well-being, because if I don't eat my cultural food, guys, I am in trouble. I always say this: if I do not eat a cultural food, my ability to eat with my hands, if I don't do it once a week, I'm telling you guys, I am destroyed. And it's okay.
So I want to ask you, what's your favorite cultural dish?
Well, it's called banku and okra stew, but literally, it's a healing process for my soul. If I cannot get my hand in that once a week, and after we get off this, I'm even trying to find a way to run quickly and go buy some, because it's hard to make it at home. So it's something that I have to leave my house and go and buy. But this is different for everybody. So part of the conversation is knowing, so these are all where spiritual practices comes in place, and knowing yourself. Another one of my strategies is, the common selfish strategies that you guys all have, going to the gym. If I don't have an ability to go outside and get some sunlight. I know it's hard to get out the house some days because the weather's changing and you're stuck at home working, but I try to get outside. So hopefully you guys could watch this video and be able to put in the comments some of the strategies that you guys are using. But for me, that's just a few of it. I also have to have some form of, being around somebody, right? I'm not married, but if I'm not around somebody socially, last night I was with a couple of friends, of course, abiding by the COVID, laws. But it's very important that you get that social connection with people too, right? So what are some of your coping and self-care strategies that help you cope?
Because we'd love to see them in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
Crystal, what are some things that are particular to you for self-care and support?
So maybe I mentioned this before, but I'm not from Ontario. I'm from Manitoba. And I like what Michael said about having that cultural food. I'm married into a Portuguese family and we eat a lot of Portuguese dishes. But every now and then I will make something that my grandma used to make me from back home or whatever. And it's just a moment, but it just provides me with such comfort, right? And so I could totally appreciate what you're saying and where you're coming from. For me, I really I'm very social. I love to be around people. I love to text people. Texting for me is great because I could just I just need to be engaged with people outside of my four walls. So I will often text you. I'll often text people who I used to work with, my best friend. FaceTiming was never really something I ever did. I never understood it. I was like, that is so weird. Who wants to FaceTime? That was my mentality,
right.
Until I was forced into a world where I didn't really have a choice. And so I will FaceTime people all the time now. And just I know that I can't be with people the way we used to. I can't be at work the way we used to. And I love my job. I love what I do. I love being at the school. I love the environment. I love the students. I love the activities. I like the staff. I love everything about it. And so not being able to do that is really challenging. So I need to see people and I need to engage with people outside of my kids. Like I have an 8-year-old and a 12-year-old, and my 12-year-old is fantastic and she's very mature and I can have very, mature conversations with her and whatnot. But there's a time where I'm like, I just want to chill and relax and have those conversations. So for me, I need to be engaged. I need to see people. I need to talk to people. I need to hear what you're doing because my life just seems so boring right now, right?
I think everyone feels that way, Crystal.
Yeah.
It's just so boring. So tell me what you're doing. I want to hear what
Yes.
exciting that you're doing. Yeah.
And that in itself, it feeds me, right? It feeds my, Miss R and I, we have a date every day at 12:45 and we have lunch together and we go on Teams and we have lunch and we eat our lunch. I can hear her crunching and chewing
I can hear you crunching and chewing,
slurping her drinks.
I hear you,
but
beyond your kids to, hey, did you log in? You should be doing your work. Yeah.
Yes. But those it's so small and I understand it's not the same thing, but it fills that. It helps me get through my day. So I really need.
Thank you for putting me part of your support
plan.
You see?
And you're a part of mine.
Oh, that's nice. So that's what I need. That I need to have that. I need my phone to be, going off and having text messages and seeing what other people I love that.
No, I love what you just said about the I, because the support plan is an I thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's very so individual.
Important. It's very individual. Yeah. So you have to know yourself enough and at least pay attention to see the things that help you. And I'm telling you guys, if I don't have my Benku once a week, I'm not going to be a happy person.
See, food does so much for us, doesn't it?
It does
so much. And I didn't know until I moved out of I started living independently. Because when you're home, you take it for granted.
Yep.
But now it's my weekly ritual. And literally it's a ritual. When I show up at the restaurant, they know what I want. No questions asked. That's it.
Yeah. I want to piggyback on what Mr. A was talking about knowing yourself. And I've mentioned this before in some circles, sometimes in some classes and whatever. And I want to talk about, and not that I'm an expert and not that this is prescriptive, it's only descriptive, it describes us, is knowing whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. And again, it's just knowing how you use your energy and how you recharge. So for the longest time, I don't know, over a decade, when did I read this book? I don't know. Let's say for maybe 10, 12 years of being a chaplain. And whenever there was a school mass or this before the first grade 9 retreat or before a new retreat, whether it was for grade 11s or grade 12s, I would get this anxiety and this dread. And then I read this book, and it was talking about the gift of introverts and what they give us. And I realized that I'm equally an introvert and an extrovert. So I love the energy of social people, but I also love quiet. And usually when I would come home, like in my, recent years, I would come home from work after, my door is always open. And so, people are always kind of coming in, coming out, and admin wants this, or teacher's calling me up, or I'm doing a class visit. And I would come home and I would just shut down. Sometimes I would just sit in my office in the dark, and my husband would be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm just recharging in the dark." It looked odd. So it's just knowing how you use your energy. And I'm not slamming the education system. No, education is education. A lot of our education is based on the extrovert model, right? Raising your hand, engaging class discussion. And for a lot of introverts, doing a class presentation or speaking up or even turning your mic on and your camera on to speak to the class is too much. So it's just knowing who you are and knowing how you use your energy, knowing what you're capable of. And maybe after a week, if you're an introvert, on a Friday night, you just need to lay low, turn off the digital devices and just read, or do something introverted. If you're an extrovert, like Mr. A and Chris have said, do something social. Or if you need to be outside running or whatever, find those activities, find those strategies that help recharge you, because we do spend energy. And if we spend our energy and spend our energy and spend our energy without replenishing it, you're like a car running on an empty gas tank, and the car is going to break down. And then we have our little flip out. Like I've seen so many students kind of reach the end of their rope, and they come in my office and they just start crying like, ah. And it's because we spend so much energy, but we don't focus on those things that feed us, that feed our souls. So whether,
and I want to say something about that too, because that is a mental health thing, right? Like
yes,
a mental wellness, a mental well-being, like taking care of that and nourishing that. And I
That's
think
it.
that like Mr. A is a social worker, I'm a CYC, you're a chaplain. We all have different roles in the school and different ways that we can support. You don't need to have a mental illness to speak to one of us. If
yes,
you're having a bad day and you just need a calm place to go and you want to go to the chapel, that's cool. Go to the
yep,
chapel. You have that right. It's your right to do that. If you're finding like you need something a little more and you want to talk to Miss R, or you want to come and speak with me, I'm not a therapist. I'm not going to, diagnose you or like, I'm not going to do that. My
That's
job
it.
is really to sit and hang out with you and just give you a safe place where you can come and you can unpack and you can just vent and you can be angry and you can cry and you know what I mean? Sometimes it's just a matter of trying to help you figure out what it is that you need in those moments. If in those moments we're starting to see like, there's something else going on here, I might make a recommendation like, hey, you know what, there's a little bit something more going on. Why don't we speak to Miss A or Mr. A, because he is a therapist and he can dig deeper into those mental health issues, right?
yeah,
We are strategically placed in these schools for a reason, because we know that mental well-being is so significant and so important. And students going through high school and going through all of these different things at a very tender age, you're not expected to know all of the answers or know what you're supposed to do. You know, we went through it, and we had to rely on the adults in our lives and in and around us to help us get through this. I know for me growing up, we never had social workers and CYCs, and my God, I wish we did. We didn't have chaplains.
Yes.
We didn't have any of that stuff. And again, I went to school in another province, but you know, working in a high school now and seeing the supports that they have, I'm like, man, I really wish that we had that. And I think that it's important to remind students that, you know, these support systems and us non-academic staff, we've been strategically placed in these schools to help you guys navigate that stuff. And we want to do that. And there's different levels of support. You're not alone, and you're not expected to have all the answers. So I really want to emphasize that, you know, students can come to us and they can access us. And you know what, over the last couple of weeks, I'm not going to lie, I've had a few emails from students that I've never worked with before, I've never spoke to before, and good on you guys for reaching out, right? Because we don't know what we don't know. We can't help you. So it's up to you to recognize, like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm feeling really crummy today, and I think I need to speak to somebody else about it.
Yeah, like something that happened when I was in high school is, so my family's life wasn't the ideal, and I struggled, and it took a friend making an appointment with a guidance counselor, and she brought me there to talk. Now,
Yes.
I wasn't going to leave home or anything like that, but it was just nice to talk to, you know, at first, like I wouldn't have done that on my own.
Yeah.
And this was in grade 11. So this is, you know, or grade 12, grade 11, grade 12. So, you know, you get older, the relationship with, you know, one of the parents gets a little testier. And it was just nice to talk to someone who, I didn't know it at the time, but he had the education and the training, and he talked me through it. It was level-headed, but it was just nice to know that, okay, now that I've been here, if I do need to, the path was easier to walk.
Yes.
Because I had that conversation with him already. So if I needed a guidance counselor, it was easier to go and do that, because we are here. We are here. And I want to say, because often we just talk about, you know, the practical stuff, and I seldom bring in the spiritual stuff. But I want to put this on your radar. Often when we are left to our own devices, and, you know, you're 15, 16, 17, and let's say family life is tough, or you just feel like you don't really matter, I want to emphasize that it is part of our Catholic faith that every person is created in the image and likeness of God. Nobody is junk. Nobody's a mistake. No one is garbage. You matter. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, whatever skin color you have, whatever creed you profess, whatever food you eat, whatever, you know, whatever country you come from, whatever your orientation or gender identity, you matter. You have been created in the image and likeness of God. You matter. You have a dignity and a value that no one can take away from you. I know that the world likes to put conditions on, but God, you are the beloved of God's. So you matter. And if you need us to be your cheerleader and to talk to you and to be the pep, pep, rah, rah, we do this, but sincerely and authentically. We're not just speaking words. These words have meaning. So if you need us in your corner, if you need a little pep talk, put our voices in your head to help counter the negative self-talk that maybe you're giving yourself. Okay, that was my soapbox for that.
All right, so you know what? It's another great episode this week. Support is different for everyone, which means that you have to come up with your own plan, really get to know yourself. And hopefully you guys could tell me some of your favorite foods that are helping you, and, you know, share some of the strategies that are unique to you, because it's all about knowing our unique selves and doing the things that are best for each and every one of us to get through day by day. We're going through a pandemic. And right now, more than ever, it's so important for us to know ourselves and have the things that make us happy as a priority in our life.
And I just want to point out that what we're saying is linked to Greek philosophy. Believe it or not, Socrates said, know thyself. And really, that is key. And they knew that thousands of years ago in Greece. Know yourself, because that's key. So what's working for your friends, what's working for your siblings, what's working for your parents may not work for you, because you're unique and you have your own identity and your own ways of using energy and recharging your energy. So take some of these things, and of course the three common trinity is eating well, exercising, and getting enough sleep. And
let's add friends to
social.
that.
Yeah, social.
Let's add some friends to that.
Keep up with your social. And if you're an introvert and you don't want the big party or whatever, you don't need it. Just be connected with one friend, or have a social, or say, you know what, let's have dinner together. Go on Google Meet or Hangout or Zoom, whatever you use, and eat together, but apart, but together. Maybe play a game. Whether you can play cards, you can play president or whatever card games you guys play, but have that social fun interaction. When we talk to people, it doesn't always have to be about, oh, this is so heavy and I'm anxious. No, it could just be about, hey, I have the funny meme to show you. Let me show you. And you could share memes or something, right? Just laugh and nurture those connections. All right, another excellent episode. So everyone, take care, and don't forget to plug in daily to the morning show, because that's another good way to, not that it's shameless self-promotion, but it's a way for us to be connected, because I know people are chatting in the chat. So it's a good way to recognize that, oh, look, the school's here. And so that could help just put our community on your radar that you're not alone. We are together. We're still a school, even though we're not together in the building. So we'll see you next week. And until then, if you need us, reach out. We're here. Reach out to the staff members you trust, your guidance counselors, whoever, or a trusted adult in your life. Reach out to friends, but hang in there and know you're not alone. See you next week, everyone.